Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, people, it is Thursday, February the 20th, and it is 10:28 p.m. So let's get off this infinity screen because I know nobody likes it, and I don't like it either. But anyway, I do apologize that I'm getting to you so late tonight. It's 10:28 p.m. Eastern Time, and but I had to move some furniture today, and well, you know, the wise thing would have been to call somebody to help me, but no. You know, even though I've been warned within an inch of my life because I had a very serious spinal injury a few years ago, I have been warned not to do anything that I could fall, like I used to be a figure skater, and can't do that because I might fall on the ice, can't ski, there's a lot of things I can't do. And I've been told, do not lift anything over 10, 15 pounds. So anyway, I thought, well, you know, I feel pretty spry today. I'm going to try and move this dresser. And, you know, I took the drawers out of it, but no, still heavy, very, very heavy solid wood. And I hurt my back so desperately, and I was out of my head with pain. I had to have an emergency appointment, and then, you know, the doctor put it back in place, gave me some painkillers. So if you like me just normally, you're going to love me on painkillers. No, really. Yeah. So anyway, I'm feeling okay now. Yeah, I don't know why, but I feel great. So let's look at this. We're going to be taking a look at the coronavirus, and these are people that have real problems, and we're going to do that now. I do have two videos prepared tonight, and I was fully prepared to bring those to you tonight, but now it's getting late, and I'm thinking that I'll probably only have time to do one, but since I've got one prepared, then tomorrow what I'll do is I will bring you two videos. So let's get started. All right. Now, this coronavirus, I know a lot of people were not taking it seriously. A lot of people think that it's overblown, that it's a false flag, that they're making it seem much worse than it is. No, I don't believe that. I do not believe that because this thing is exploding exponentially, and it is just mushrooming into every single country on earth. This is a very serious thing. So I think it is imperative that I keep us up to date with it. And since I'm keeping myself up to date with it, I figure I might as well share it with you guys, right? So that is what I'm doing. Now, as I mentioned before, we have the people that were taken from the Diamond Princess, I think that's what it's called, the one that was docked off shore in Japan, and they flew the Canadian people home. I guess there is another plane load of them coming, but they have only kept them in quarantine for 14 days, and one of them have already admitted that they snuck out during quarantine because they wanted fresh air. So yes, I like fresh air as well. I like air that's free from the coronavirus. So I think that it would have been in everyone's best interest if she had stayed where she was supposed to be. But anyway, they're letting them all go home now after 14 days, even though they are now saying that it could be up to 42 days before you test positive. Like, you could be asymptomatic and be fine, or just experiencing a few minor flu-like symptoms up to 42 days and then get it. And there was one that was sent home and they were absolutely fine, but they tested positive later. So I just don't think that this is safe, that they're letting them go after 14 days. I think the least they should have kept them is 21 days. That's just me. But anyway, they're letting them go. So I guess if any of them are positive, which I would assume none of them are, but if any of them later turn up positive, well, it'll be out there being spread, but it's out there being spread anyway. And I think that we are not hearing about it, but I think some of these people are showing up at emergency rooms with pneumonia or flu, flu-like symptoms, and possibly passing away without being tested. because I don't think that people are under the impression that it's here in North America. Well, it is. It's here. It's definitely here. Anyway, let's get caught up to date with the goings on with this virus. All right. Now, I found this was interesting. I don't know who this person is, but Chinese film director Chang Kai and family die from coronavirus. So it's no respecter of persons, that's for sure. Doesn't matter who you are or how much money you have. In fact, there was a video of a man and he dropped dead outside of the hospital and all his money went flying. All his money did him no good. You know, it doesn't matter how much money you offer these people. The hospitals are full and it's not going to get you a bed. A Chinese film director, his sister, mother, and father have all died from the coronavirus. The latest high-profile victims of the disease in Wuhan, the city at the center of the outbreak. Chang Kai, 55, died on the 14th of February. His parents died over the previous 2 weeks after the family spent days together in self-quarantine. The Chinese magazine, Caixin, reported Chang's sister died hours after he did, and his wife is in serious condition. Death rates in Wuhan and surrounding Hubei provinces have been higher than in the rest of China and beyond. Many patients report struggling to find a bed in hospitals filled far beyond capacity, even as the government built new hospitals and converted spaces like an exhibition center into makeshift medical centers. And by the way, they are not medical centers. They're not medical centers. They have absolutely no medical equipment in them. They don't have bathrooms. They don't have, you know, they're just rows and rows and rows of beds, and there are no medical staff there. And that has been told by many people, that these people are not getting medical care there. It's basically just a human warehouse to keep them until they expire. Excuse me. I didn't want my coughing to start. All right. So, others have died despite intensive medical care, including a whistleblower doctor and the head of a hospital. An environmental activist and his wife are also thought to have been killed by coronavirus, although they were not tested for the disease. The World Health Organization has said that although the disease would be mild in 4 of 5 patients, about 20% will have more serious symptoms, or severe symptoms, rather. They are concerned that initial government advice for those with symptoms to stay at home may have exacerbated the toll from the disease, with close confinement leading to whole families being infected. Chang had nursed his father at home after he fell sick in late January. He took the older man to several hospitals but could not find a bed. Caixin reported on 28th of January he was the family's first victim, but others had already become infected. Chang's mother died a few days later, and then he became seriously ill. The director sent a deathbed message to friends describing his grief and sending love to his son in London. Farewell to those I love and those who loved me. Authorities are taking suspected coronavirus patients to quarantine centers, sometimes forcibly. The home quarantine policy could have caused clusters of cross-household and cross-community infections by allowing serious infections to progress without treatment, Caixin reported, quoting Chen Bo, a professor at the Huazhong University of Science and Technology in Wuhan. The virus has infected more than 73,000. Of course, we know it's way beyond that. Actually, if you want to know the truth, and this is the truth, there are about 800,000 people, and possibly more now, under quarantine. So you think about this. 1 in every 10 people on this planet is in some type of forced quarantine. 1 in 10. That's serious. That's very serious. When have we ever seen anything of this magnitude? We haven't. So these people that are telling you, oh, it's just the flu, nothing to worry about. People die from the flu all the time. Really? Since when has there been a quarantine because of the flu? Really? So, I mean, we just have to think about this logically. It's serious. I saw another video which really got to me because this guy was showing the skyscrapers, and it was in the evening when, and when the lights would be on, because nobody's allowed out, so everybody's at home. Those who are at home are at home. And yet you looked up at these apartment buildings and there might be 3, 4, 5 lights on in the whole huge high rise. And this person was asking, where are the people? Where are they? So some fled before, some had traveled out of country and they're not allowed to get back in, or they're allowed to get back into China, but they're not allowed to get back into Wuhan. So, okay, so a portion of those people left. Where's everybody else? Because everybody is supposed to be at home quarantined, and yet some of the buildings look absolutely vacant. Have the inhabitants all died? Have they been taken somewhere? And what are they going to do with this city of 11 million people? Now, it's definitely not a city of 11 million people anymore. And what are they going to do with this city afterwards, after this virus has passed through? It makes me wonder. Remember all those stories about the ghost cities in China? If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube, because there's plenty of videos about it, about the ghost cities in China. If you look up that, you will find them. And these cities are absolutely beautiful, modern, state-of-the-art. And they have everything in there. They have schools, they have hospitals, they have everything that you would want. They have town halls, they have parks, they have everything. The only thing they don't have is people. There's no people there. The streets are just empty, and there's row after row of these beautiful high-rises, and nobody lives in these. They are called ghost cities. Nobody's there. The only people that are there are those people that are cutting the grass and, whatever, but the utilities are all on. Everything that you would need is there. The whole city is finished. The only thing it lacks is people. There's grass been planted, flowers, everything, just no people. And it's not like there's just one. There's several of these. So my question was always, what are they planning on doing with these? And now I wonder if some of these cities that have been so badly hit, if they will relocate the people to some of these ghost cities to start again. Because really, are they ever going to get that virus out unless they just burn everything to the ground? I don't know. I mean, I'm not talking like I know, because I don't. I'm just theorizing, throwing it out there, if you will. All right, so let's go back now and go on to the next thing. And here's the other thing. Now they're saying, what are they saying now? 1,800 have died. That's how much they admit. Well, that's absolute poppycock, because a Chinese doctor said that there was 49 crematoriums in Wuhan. Now, somebody was trying to tell me, oh, no, there's only 2. In a city of 11 million people, are you kidding me? No. There's 49 crematoriums. They're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can't keep up. Now, if there's only 1,875 bodies, why are they having such a hard time keeping up? I'm just wondering. That doesn't seem like too many, really, in a city of 11 million. If 1,875 people died, well, let's say New York, and it's nowhere near 11 million. Let's say New York, 1,000 people die in New York. Is it going to tax the whole city to the point where they have to call in backup? They have to call in more 40 incinerators? No. There's something really not right. We're not being told the truth, and they're trying to downplay this because they don't want the world to panic. And I'm not calling for panic. I'm not trying to spread fear porn. I'm just saying we need to be prepared. We need to know what we're dealing with. We really do. Let me just tell you a story, because this will illustrate it. When I was a little girl, both my grandparents were dairy farmers, and they had big dairy farms. And my paternal grandparents, we used to go there often because they lived very, very close. So I'd spend a lot of weekends there even because I loved being around the animals. My grandfather taught me how to milk cows and all that stuff, and I loved it. Well, one day, and I was a very little girl, and I had on a bright red and white t-shirt, and I saw this cow, and I thought I'd like to go over and pet that cow. Now, I had been in the barn and around the cows and milking cows and everything, and so, you know, I thought all cows were friendly. That's what I thought. So anyway, I went out there, and all of a sudden, my grandfather, I hear my grandfather yell, "Stop!" And so I stopped and looked, and the look on his face, he took I don't know how old he would have been at that time, but I've never seen anybody run that fast. He just bounded over the fence in one jump and scooped me up and ran with me, threw me over the fence. And but at that point, I don't think he was caring. He just wanted me to get out of danger. And why? Because I had just gone into the bullpen. Now, I didn't know the difference. And so my grandfather said, well, you know, I said, what? I just wanted to pet the cow. And my grandfather said, that's not a cow. And I said, well, yes, it is. No, it's a bull. And I said, my poor grandfather, I said, well, what's the difference? My grandfather said, well, the bull has a ring in its nose. And I went, oh, okay. Really. But anyway, my thing is that I didn't know what I was dealing with. I went in thinking I was dealing with a cow, and that I would walk up and I'd pet the cow, and the cow would be friendly, and I'd give it an apple or something. I'd go over to the apple tree, get an apple for it, and give it an apple, and, you know, everything was fine. I felt sorry for it. Poor cow out there standing by itself. Now, I didn't know what I was dealing with. Did that make it any less dangerous for me to be standing with a red shirt on in front of a bull? Did it make it less dangerous because I didn't know? No, it made it more dangerous because I didn't know. Because I walked up to it thinking it's nothing, and the thing could have trampled me to death. Especially since, you know, a small child. So, yeah, we need to know what we're dealing with. And that's my whole point in telling you that story. You need to know, what are we dealing with? Is it a bull or is it a cow? Because there's a big difference. All right, well, let's go on now. China deploys 40 incinerators to Wuhan amid fears of coronavirus death toll cover-up. Chinese media reports that the mobile furnaces used for burning animal carcasses and medical waste have been shipped to the center of the COVID-19 outbreak. Now notice that they put this, and I've read this in several places, and they always put this. They say mobile furnaces, and then they'll qualify it by saying used for burning animal carcasses and medical waste, because they don't want us to think that it's what it's actually going to probably be used for. Why are there so many animal carcasses? Why so many animal carcasses? I don't understand that. Why would they need 40 incinerators to burn up animal carcasses? Now, medical waste, I totally understand that. I get that. But yeah, I think that those incinerators will be used for a little bit more than animal carcasses and medical waste. But hey, maybe that's just me. I'm just thinking that if they've already stated that they can't keep up, that the crematoriums cannot keep up. There was a picture that somebody had of a bunch of stored bodies underground. There were a lot of them in body bags, and they were being stored there in a cool place, probably until they could be cremated. But yeah, do you think they're really asking for 40 of them just to burn animal carcasses? Boy, that's a lot of animals. Now, medical waste, yes, there has to be a ton of medical waste, and everything that these people are wearing has to be burned. And there was I think I showed it on one of the videos that I did on an update on the coronavirus. I showed all the cell phones. I'm just sweeping up cell phones, and these are the cell phones of the people that have died. So I don't know what they're going to do with those. I wouldn't touch them. And these people weren't either. They were sweeping them up with brooms. But anyway, let's get into this. China has reportedly deployed 40 industrial incinerators to the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak. Oh, but I'm sure they're just for animals. Wuhan, Chinese media reports that the furnaces have been shipped to the city amid ongoing fears the death toll is being covered up. That's because it is. NTD reports that the cabins are for the disposal of animal carcasses, while China Ship News reports the incinerators are for medical waste. Well, which is it? Is it for animal carcasses or medical waste? Wow, you guys have a lot of animal carcasses if you need 40 industrial incinerators. Wuhan has been at the center of a global epidemic which has infected more than 75,000 people and killed more than 2,000. Wow, just 2,000. Just 2,000, and yet they need 40 additional industrial incinerators. Imagine that. Yeah, one in 10 people on this planet are forcibly confined because of 2,000 deaths? I don't think so. No way. All right. Boy, that water is good. That is something that I missed when I was in the States. There's nothing like Canadian water. It's good stuff. I'm like, seriously, it does taste better. Anyway, NTD that the cabins reports that the cabins are for disposal of animal carcasses, while the China Ship News reports the incinerators are for medical waste. Wuhan has been at the center. Okay, I read that. It is believed the virus spread from bats to other animals in the so-called wet markets in the city before being passed to humans. That's already been debunked, so I don't know why they're passing on that disinformation again. Sources quoted in Chinese media raise questions over whether or not the incinerators are for animals or will be used to dispose of human remains. Well, they look certainly large enough to dispose of human beings in there, because 40 of those, do you know how many animal carcasses could just fit into one of those? Come on. It doesn't even make good sense, and yet people don't even question it. It's like, oh, okay, well, must be animal carcasses and medical waste that they're burning. They wouldn't burn human beings, no. They're shooting people that break their quarantine. They're shooting them in the street. But no, they wouldn't burn humans in those incinerators. I'm sure it's animals. All right. Well, I think that is okay. The mobile incinerator. I'm sorry. I was reading that little thing about the lamb, and then it made me sad for a second, and I was distracted. All right. I'm back. Hi. How are you guys? Okay. Mobile incinerators can reportedly destroy up to 5 tons of waste every single day and can burn its load in as little as 2 seconds. Reportedly, the cabin is the size of a 20-foot standard container and has a volume of about 30 cubic meters. That's pretty large. It reportedly has the ability to crush solid waste, then incinerate it, and then purify the smoke. Oh, gee, why would they want to crush, incinerate, and purify the smoke? I'm just asking. I don't know. Reportedly, the incinerators have been sanctioned for the use by the Chinese military after tests in Gulmud, Qinghai in January. So F1 Chiefs confirm Vietnam Grand Prix will go ahead. All right. See, honestly, I think at this point, and I'm being perfectly honest here, and I know a lot of you will say, why would they do that? Well, because they've been telling us for how many years that they wanted to kill off 80% of the planet. And then they wonder why people jump to that conclusion? Gee, I mean, I think they're spreading it on purpose. It would seem that way. Why? I don't understand. Why are they allowing planes from China still in America, still in Canada? Why? You tell me. I'm having more water. Am I making you thirsty? Go get yourself some nice, pure, clean water. It's good. It's good for everything. It's good for stuff you ain't even got yet. All right, yes, I know that was bad grammar. So anyway, large trucks were reportedly spotted transporting the cabins into the disease-ravaged city of Wuhan. Professor Ming Zhu reportedly said he believes the cabins are mobile incinerators for bodies. And meanwhile, Professor Q Zhan said the virus could not survive the 850-degree heat created by the furnace. Wuhan locals reportedly have questioned the need for such cabins, as there is not a widespread infection of animals with the virus. No. Now, animals can get coronavirus, but I don't think this strain is passable between humans and animals, at least from what I've read. So there really shouldn't be the need to incinerate animals. And why would you need to burn them at 850 degrees, you know, and purify the smoke for animals? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. So, and why wouldn't they just dig a pit if there's that many animals? I'm sure there are deceased pets in those places, because there's people that left and they were traveling and they expected to be back, and then they weren't allowed back in. So what happened to all those animals? Now, some neighbors are looking after animals and so forth, but I'm sure there are deceased animals. So they will have animals to dispose of, but not in that quantity. Come on. And why couldn't you just dig a pit for that? Well, you could. So large trucks were reportedly, okay. All right, so let's come down here. And these are the size of these units. They're large. They're very, very large. Now, if you want to believe that they're burning animals in there, then okay, I don't. Questions have been raised over whether or not the Communist Party is withholding information about the outbreak in Wuhan. Of course it is. When has the Communist Party ever been forthright about anything? Ever. Disturbing reports have continued to emerge about the city, with claims medics are totally overwhelmed by the sheer number of infections. Pictures have emerged showing deserted streets, and videos of early in the outbreak show hospitals completely heaving with people. And the Wuhan hospital director, Liu Ziming, has reportedly died of the infection, with around 1,700 doctors diagnosed with COVID-19. So all of these doctors, because they were you know, doctoring these people with just a mask on, and the mask is pretty much useless. Even the N95 mask, pretty much useless, because the particles in the virus are much, much, much smaller than the pores in the mask. So not much protection. So not surprising that all these doctors came down with this. It's very sad, but you know, don't be too sad, because the Chinese government is giving each family of these doctors a whole $700. Yeah, I'm sure they're not going to want to spend it all in one place. How long does $700 last on, you know, when your husband was a doctor and you were used to supporting the family on his income, or the wife was a doctor and supporting the family on her income? $700 doesn't go very far. Anyway, the death toll from coronavirus mainland China rose to 2,000. Whoa! Yeah, right. On Wednesday, as Chinese officials announced a further 136 deaths, up from 98 in the previous 24 hours. The number of new coronavirus cases are continuing to fall, as China claims it is getting to grips with the outbreak following the intervention of Xi Jinping. Officials have been carrying out a door-to-door campaign in Wuhan to root out anyone in the city with the infection. This must be taken seriously, said Wang Zhonglin, Wuhan's new Communist Party secretary. There's nothing more important than human life. If a single new case is found after Wednesday, the district leaders will be held responsible. Very, very sad. However, experts have warned that the threat remains as Chinese nationals continue to return to work following the Lunar New Year. World Health Organization chiefs last week labeled the coronavirus outbreak public enemy #1 and said it was a bigger global threat than terrorism. It was claimed earlier this month that crematoriums in the city are working 24/7 to deal with the bodies. Workers are reportedly working flat out without any breaks and as they are constantly sent the bodies of victims. It is claimed that they've been burning 100 bodies every day since January 28, and yet there are only 2,000 dead. Isn't that something? Yeah, if you believe that, you'll believe anything. One insider who's said to work at a funeral home in Wuhan has reportedly revealed the long working hours to deal with the surge of coronavirus deaths. Crematorium workers are reportedly working in makeshift protective suits and masks as they handle the bodies. Chinese state media also unleashed a decree banning funerals earlier this month, saying all bodies must be instantly burned by authorities. Citing the National Health Commission, newspapers confirmed all bodies should be burned close by and immediately. It added burials or the transfer of bodies is not allowed, funerals not allowed to avoid spread of the virus. So this is very sad, and these places that have just bed after bed after bed after bed, they try to make it seem like these are medical places. They're not. These people are not receiving any care. They're not given any medicine at all, and they are the bathroom in one of those facilities is just bed upon bed upon bed, like hundreds and hundreds of beds. The people have to go outside to go to the bathroom. Now, most people are thinking, because a lot of the workers at these places are saying that they're cleaned out every day and a new batch comes in. Well, I hate to think about what that infers. I won't even go there. I think you know what I'm talking about. At least 16 cities are under lockdown in China, with an estimated 55 million people living in quarantine. That's not true. That's not true. It's now upward. It's above 800 million people. 800 million people are in some form of lockdown, and not just in China. So yeah. It estimates about 600 million worth of notes have either been destroyed or taken out of circulation by the Communist Party. Now, isn't this a good reason to bring in the mark so that we don't have to deal with that dirty money and pass the virus around? I'm just saying. For those of you that are believers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We've known that that's what the end game was. They want to do away with all currency, so that you cannot buy or sell unless you're part of the system. And wouldn't this be a good prerequisite to that happening? Because they could say, well, because money is the dirtiest thing in the world. It is dirty. You don't know how many hands that's passed through before yours. And you don't know what these people had or where their hands were. And I know in the summer when I lived in Louisiana, you know, I could not believe this. People would always be up at the cash register and they'd pull their money out of their bra and it'd all be sweaty and like, who wants to count that? Not me. But yeah, anyway. What? Anyway, cash is also being shipped back to the Chinese central bank to be disinfected to try to kill the virus. Concerns about the virus are now turning to the potentially huge economic impacts of a country living under quarantine. Now, let me tell you something else that's happened today. I was looking, and there's a website out there, and it shows you where all the web traffic is coming from. Okay, now worldwide, like what countries, what percentage of the traffic from what countries, so forth. Now, China has about 16% of the world's population. All right, so their internet usage is about 16% of all internet usage, possibly more. So when their internet usage falls to less than 1% of all internet traffic, there's a problem. There's a very big problem. They've shut down the internet to stop people getting pictures out and videos out and getting their stories out. It has to be, because what else could account for that? It doesn't even make sense. A country as large as China has, 16% of the world's population. That's like almost 1 in every 5 people is Chinese. Really. So this is, I guess we're not going to be getting too much more from the citizens, in terms of citizen journalism and getting it out there, because it appears as if the internet's been shut down in China. I don't know. If any of you know anything about this or any more to add to this, please let me know. All right. Let's go back and, oops, here we are. All right. Says, anyone else find this alarming? More than 5,400 people had been asked to self-quarantine in California alone as of February 14th. According to the California Department of Public Health, hundreds more are self-quarantining in Georgia, Washington State, Illinois, New York, and other states. These people are separate from the Americans who are under stricter federal quarantine, including those housed at 4 U.S. air bases and the 328 who were recently evacuated from the Diamond Princess cruise ship. Those groups arriving from locations where the virus was rapidly spreading, whereas the people self-monitoring at home are thought to be at lower risk of having been exposed to it. But, this person's asking, anyone find this alarming? That there are 5,400 people under quarantine, self-quarantining? Do you trust that they're staying at home and not going out anywhere? Because I don't. I don't. Now, I think some of them are probably responsible human beings and are staying put until they know for sure they're clear. But do you think all 5,400 people are? Because if you do, you have far more faith in humanity than I do. So anyway, that's a concern. Are we going to start seeing this little blooms of this all through the country? I mean, we're already starting to, but that can change exponentially. Look at how fast it took China to blow up. So let's go on now. And says 2 Iranians have died in hospital after testing positive for the new coronavirus in the holy Shiite city of Qom. The head of city's University of Medical Sciences told Mer News on Wednesday. So there are now 2 Iranians that have died in hospital, and I think that's up to 8 now. There are 8 now since that was reported. So anyway, let's go down to the next. Israel said planning for coronavirus with isolation units, tourist site closures. Health Ministry reportedly could commandeer entire hospitals in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv if virus spreads, impose restrictions on large gatherings of people. The health ministry officials believe it is only a matter of time before the coronavirus reaches Israel and have drawn up a plan with the aim of treating patients and preventing the spread of the infection, Channel 12 News reported Wednesday. Although there have not been any cases reported in Israel, patients have been diagnosed with the virus in Egypt and Iran. In the initial phase of possible Israeli outbreak, dedicated units will be set up with established hospitals in an attempt to isolate carriers of the disease. They are to be staffed by experts in the field of disease control. According to the report, an isolation unit will immediately be set up at the some hospital in some place in Israel. In addition to one at a geriatric unit in Rishon LeZion, However, if the number of infections increased to the amount not stated by the report, a hospital in Jerusalem and one in Tel Aviv could be commandeered exclusively for the treatment of patients with coronavirus. In addition, the health ministry could impose restrictions on large gatherings, and the closures of hotels and tourist sites will be considered, according to the report. So I'm not going to go through and read all that because there is a lot to get through. But, you know, in terms of banning large gatherings, you know, that sounds almost communistic, but like communism, but it's not really, because what happened is someone went to church in South Korea, a large church, and apparently was a super spreader because infected a bunch of people at church, and then they went out and who knows who they've had contact with. So it's now in South Korea and expect it to get worse there because of that. And that's the thing. It just takes one person. So of these 5,400 people that are being quarantined, self-quarantined in California, it just takes one person to say, you know what? I'm sick of sitting around the house. I'm going to go for a beer. Just takes one. All right. Let's go back. And Americans on coronavirus cruise ship barred from U.S. after failed quarantine. They put us in a petri dish to get infected. Now, you know what? I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. And by the way, that cruise ship is going to be recommissioned in May. Or maybe it was April. It was either April or May. It's coming up anyway. It's going to be recommissioned. They said, oh, we'll just disinfect everything. Would you get on that ship? I wouldn't. No way. I wouldn't even take a free vacation on that ship. All right. On Wednesday, the initial 14-day quarantine aboard a coronavirus-stricken cruise ship docked in Yokohama, Japan, officially ended, but the grueling saga seems far from over for the ship's 3,711 passengers and crew. As the quarantine time ran out, Japanese officials were still reporting dozens of new cases of COVID-19 aboard. As of Wednesday, the number of coronavirus infections linked to the ship total 621, by far the largest cluster of COVID-19 cases anywhere outside of China. The next largest cluster outside of China is in Singapore, which has 84 confirmed cases, if we're being told the truth about that. Who knows? But here's the thing with this, this cruise ship. Remember I told you that they brought people back from China and they're housing them just, oh gosh, I mean, literally, I could almost walk to where they are from here. And, you know, and one person said, I just got bored sitting around, so I decided to go out for some fresh air. Yeah, it just takes that one person. And, you know, every group has that one person. I didn't think it would hurt anything. What? Anyway, so the people here, the people that the U.S. is refusing, well, the Canadians are all coming back. And where are they coming? They're coming here. Yep. Bring them all back. The U.S. Doing the right thing by saying, no, not coming in here. But not Canada. The quarantine process failed. Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the National Institute of Health, said Monday, I'd like to sugarcoat it and try to be diplomatic about it, but it failed. People were getting infected on that ship. Something went awry in the process of the quarantining on that ship. I don't know what it was, but a lot of people got infected on that ship because it was coming through the airways, the vents. It was coming through the vents. It's airborne, you stupid people. I'm sorry, but this frustrates me so much. It's not rocket science. It's airborne. So therefore, yes, it can come through the vents. Hello? I wouldn't get on a cruise ship or an airplane right now for all the money in the world. Really. And I want to go somewhere because I've been stuck here for a long time. Anyway. Oh. There's that yawn. Okay, so anyway, floating petri dish. That's exactly what it was. Passenger Arnold Hopland, a primary care physician from Tennessee, provided some hints as to what went wrong in an interview with the Wall Street Journal. Dr. Hopland described passengers dyeing their laundry on cabin balconies and leaning over to chat with neighbors while not wearing face masks. Though passengers were largely confined to their cabins during the 14-day quarantine, they were allowed to take walks on the decks. They were instructed to wear face masks and keep their distance from other passengers during the strolls, but health experts are skeptical that everyone was compliant. No, of course not everyone was compliant. Any group of people, 100% are never going to be compliant. There's always that one jerk who just doesn't care. So, well, if I'm going to die, why not let other people die too? Here, let me breathe on you. You know, we've seen those videos of people that were positive with coronavirus spitting on the elevator buttons. There are people like that in this world, unfortunately. We'd like to think everybody is kind and considerate and would never do that to someone else, but, you know, it's not reality. Additionally, Dr. Hopland counted having contact with crew members up to 10 times a day as they went door to door hand delivering food and supplies to guests. As the Associated Press pointed out, crew members were not in isolation. They continued to share rooms, eat together in a mess hall, serve guests, and enter guest cabins for cleaning. Just before, Dr. Hopland and his wife planned to board an evacuation plane chartered by the U.S. State Department on Sunday. Test results came back indicating his wife had contracted the virus. She was moved to a local hospital, and Dr. Hopland remains on the ship in an extended quarantine. The chartered flights, meanwhile, repatriated over 300 other American cruise ship passengers, 14 of whom tested positive for the virus en route to the U.S. I was surprised. I was negative because I knew the virus had swept through this boat like wildfire, Dr. Hopland told the Journal. My analogy is they put us in a petri dish to get infected. The case highlights the complexity of outbreak control and the continued uncertainty people aboard the cruise ship now face. A paper published late Tuesday in the New England Journal of Medicine described the troubling case of two travelers who passed initial symptom-based screenings for the virus only to be confirmed positive by the subsequent laboratory test. The two people were among a group of 126 predominantly German nationals who were evacuated to Frankfurt, Germany from Hubei province, the epicenter of the outbreak. We discovered that shedding of potential infectious virus may occur in persons who have had no fever and no signs or only minor signs of infection, the author concluded. So you can have the virus, only have very mild symptoms, but you can still be shedding that virus and passing it to other people who may not have a mild reaction to it. So I just got water at my nose. At the same time, at almost the same time of the paper's release, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced Tuesday that all passengers and crew of the Diamond Princess, including the more than 100 American citizens still on board, are barred from entering the country for at least 14 days after they disembark from the ship. While the quarantine potentially conferred a significant public health benefit in slowing transmission, CDC's assessment is that it may not have been sufficient to prevent transmission among individuals on the ship. Well, evidently it wasn't. The agency said in a statement, CDC believes the rate of new infections on board, especially among those without symptoms, represents an ongoing risk. The cruise ship passengers already returned to the United States are under a 14-day federal quarantine order and are being held at one of two military bases. 14 days is not enough. It's not enough because this thing can incubate for 21 days and in one case, 42 days. The cruise ship passengers already returned to the States are under, okay, we just read that. As of Wednesday, the outbreak of COVID-19 has reached over 75,000 cases worldwide with 2,009 deaths, if you believe that, which I don't. That's not even, it's laughable, really. What do I think about the government's response to the coronavirus, COVID-19? Well, I wouldn't say very poorly handled. I would say poorly handled. Not very poorly handled, but it's still being poorly handled, and it's being very poorly handled in Canada. So that is my opinion for what it's worth. Not much. All right. let's look at this now. I hope you guys can hear me because I've got a little bit of a different setup here with the mic. So let me know what you think it sounds like. If you're having difficulties or whatever, let me know so that I can change it up again. All right. It says Iran establishes military curfew at city of Qom due to HIV SARS coronavirus. Another video shows arrival of the MRAP of IRGC ground force at the entry point of the city of Qom for military curfew and closure of main roads to the city over the coronavirus outbreak in the city. Now, they only have 8 people now that have died from the coronavirus, and they're shutting down the city. Pretty serious stuff here for the flu, don't you think? You know, everybody's saying, oh, it's just the flu. It's not that serious. Really? I don't ever remember in my lifetime there ever being a mass quarantine. Ever. Alrighty. Well, let's go back. Let's go back to here. Yes, right here. Okay. Now, this should tell you everything you need to know. Just about. Well, you can infer a lot by reading between these lines. All right. Exclusive. Chinese regime deploys 1,600 online trolls to suppress information on coronavirus. That's right. So, do you really think that a country that would do that is going to be honest about how many people have died? Really? Do you think they want to appear weak to the rest of the world? I think people would be so shocked and the world would be in panic if they really knew the real numbers. The propaganda department in virus-stricken Hubei province has engaged over 1,600 censors to scrub the internet of sensitive information related to the coronavirus outbreak, according to an internal document obtained by the Epoch Times. The internal report, dated February 15th, detailed the agency's effort to ramp up censorship measures. It was drafted after a speech given by Chinese leader Xi Jinping via video link on February 10th to frontline responders of the coronavirus outbreak in Wuhan, the capital of Hubei, where the virus first broke out. Why do I have... Oh, man, I got to enter my email to continue reading. No, I don't want to do that. Well, suffice it to say, rather, that, they're deploying 1,600 online trolls just to scrub the internet. And you can tell the trolls are out there. Believe me, if you go into any forums about this or anywhere where they're posting information, you can tell, and you know by the way they write that English is not their first language. They're pretty transparent, if you ask me. So, yeah. So, call me crazy, but yeah, I don't believe a government that does that is going to be honest about the death count. But maybe that's just me. All right. Let's go back and come down here. Okay, this is old. Let me get rid of that. And let's look at this. Again, this is South Korea. Iran shut down the whole city of Qom, and this is South Korea. Streets of an entire South Korea city deserted as coronavirus spreads. Now, this is today. This is hot and fresh. This is your hot and fresh Krispy Kreme donut sign right here. Hot and fresh, hot and fresh. I know I talk about those Krispy Kreme donuts a lot, and I miss them. Oh, I miss them. No, I don't. My thighs do not miss them at all. The street of South Korea's fourth largest city were abandoned on Thursday, with residents holed up indoors after dozens of people caught the coronavirus in what the authorities described as a super spreading event at a church. The deserted shopping malls and cinemas of Daegu a city of 2.5 million people, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, became one of the most striking images outside China of an outbreak that international authorities are trying to prevent from spreading into a global pandemic. It's too late. It's already across the globe. New research suggesting the virus was more contagious than previously thought, adding to the alarm. And in China, where the virus has killed more than, 2,000 people, right? Okay, 2,000, changed their methodology for reporting infections, creating new doubt about data they have cited as evidence their strategy is working. Dagao Mayor Quan Yang-jin told residents to stay indoors after 90 people who worshipped at the Church of Jesus, the Temple of the Tabernacle of the Testimony. Boy, that's a long name church. The Church of Jesus of the Temple of the Tabernacle of the Testimony. There you go. Now that's a church, showed symptoms of infection, and dozens of new cases were confirmed. The church had been attended by a 61-year-old woman who tested positive, known as Patient 31. Korea's Center for Disease Control and Prevention described the outbreak there as a super spreading event. We are in an unprecedented crisis, Quan told reporters, adding that all members of the church would be tested. We've asked them to stay at home, isolated from their families. Describing the abandoned streets, resident Kim Gwon-woo, 28, told Reuters by telephone, "It's like someone dropped a bomb in the middle of the city. It looks like a zombie apocalypse." South Korea now has 104 confirmed cases of the flu-like virus and reported its first death. In China, officials have been pointing to evidence that new cases are declining as proof. Yeah, they're only declining because they've redefined, like if you die but you haven't been tested, well, and that's the majority of people, because the tests, they're running out of the tests aren't very, whatever. They're changing the criteria of having it so that it keeps the numbers artificially very, very low. He noted that the number of coronaviruses in the rest of the world was very low compared to inside China, but added this may not stay the same for very long. Revisions to China's methodology have raised doubts about its data. Under the latest methodology, which excludes chest x-rays, China reported fewer than 400 new cases over the past day, less than a quarter of the number it has been finding in recent days under the previous method. Epidemiologists said there could be good reason to adjust methodology to ensure resources were being used where most needed. No official tally was likely to record all cases. For every case we are aware of in China, there are several more clinical cases by many factors, said Bharat Pankhana of Britain's University of Exeter Medical School. It's, hang on here, I overshot my mark. So it's confirmed that this is, hang on here. Scientists in China who studied nose and throat swabs from 18 patients infected with the virus said it behaves much more like influenza than other closely related viruses, suggesting it may spread more easily than previously believed. In at least one case, the virus was present even though the patient had no symptoms, suggesting symptom-free patients could spread the disease. They wrote in preliminary findings published in the New England Journal of Medicine. If confirmed, this is very important, said Dr. Gregory Poland, a vaccine researcher with the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, who was not involved with the study. China has imposed severe controls in Wuhan, a city of 11 million people, to halt the spread of the virus, and has taken urgent steps to keep the overall economy from crashing. On Thursday, its central bank cut a borrowing rate, while the authorities extended an order for business in Wuhan to shut down until March 11th. Schools in the city, which had been due to reopen on Friday, will also stay shut. All right, let's look at the next item. So let's look at this. Taiwan to sentence coronavirus quarantine violators up to 2 years in prison. And I do understand why they have to have strict, it has to be strict, because it's not your own life that you're taking into your own hands. It's the lives of other people, innocent people, that you could be spreading it to. So I do understand that. It's like, if you have this, it's like you're a weapon of mass destruction. Really, you're walking around like a weapon of mass destruction. So China is offering, yeah, this is what I had alluded to earlier. China is offering families of doctors who died fighting the coronavirus a sympathy payment of $716. Well, doesn't that just warm the cockles of your heart? No, it doesn't at all. I'd like to say that if somebody offered me that and I had a doctor in my family, I would like to say, well, you know what, you should keep that because you obviously need it more than but I'd like to say that, but I'd probably take it. Because, you know, why not? The CEO of Maersk, the world's largest container shipping company, estimates that factories in China are operating at 50 to 60% of capacity. Well, that's not surprising. And a lot of people, I mean, do you feel good having, would you want goods that are shipped from China right now? I wouldn't, because who's packing them? Have they touched it? You know, I don't know. We don't know. We really don't know. So I personally would not be touching anything from China right now. And that's sad. It's very sad. And I know that even like local Chinese businesses, there's one that's a very popular place. It's dead. There's just nobody in there. And I think that's very sad because these people are well, they're Canadians here, Americans there. And, you know, just because they run a Chinese restaurant doesn't mean that they have the infection. In fact, some of them are putting notes on the door saying none of us have traveled to Wuhan, nor have we been in contact with anyone that's traveled to Wuhan, and our food is from it is not from China, to kind of allay people's fears. But it's too bad, because I think that there is a lot of discrimination against Chinese people right now, and it's really not fair. It's not their fault. It's not. Now, I understand, because I would not want to be in a large group of Chinese people right now. I'm sorry, but you don't know, with the Chinese New Year having happened so closely, a lot of those people were traveling, and we don't know. So I don't know. But to tell you the truth, it's not just Chinese. I don't think I'd want to be in a large group of anyone right now. I wouldn't want to be flying, because it's not just who's on the plane with you. It's who's been on that plane in the last 48 hours. That plane flies nonstop, here, there, picking up people. You don't know. Just because somebody on your flight doesn't have it, it could be in the air vents from somebody that rode there 2 days ago. Just saying. All right. Hospitals across the U.S., now this is from CNBC, hospitals across the U.S. prepare for coronavirus outbreak to become global pandemic. Now this is today's news. Man, that water's good. A larger spread of the COVID-19 coronavirus across the U.S. could overwhelm emergency rooms and cause supply shortages of some crucial medical supplies. The threat of the new virus comes at an already busy time for most U.S. hospitals. Seasonal flu is at a peak. This is the time to open up your pandemic plans and see that things are in order. Dr. Ann Shushat, a top official at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, urged hospitals last week as an outbreak of a deadly new coronavirus ravaged much of China. For instance, she continued, healthcare providers need to plan for a surge at a hospital, the ability to provide personal protective equipment for your workforce, the administrative controls, and so forth that you might put in place in a healthcare setting. Shushat's warning came as U.S. and world officials increasingly sound the alarm of a possible pandemic outbreak of the deadly new coronavirus that has killed more than 2,100 people. Yeah, okay, 2,000, right. In China, in the last 7 weeks, the COVID-19 epidemic in China has not yet met World Health officials' designation of a global pandemic that spreads far and wide throughout the world. While it has spread to more than 24 countries, international health officials say there's very little transmission on local levels outside of China right now. That's not true. That's not true. But they've warned this could quickly change. The virus is proving to be more contagious than the flu, having spread from 300 people in mid-January to more than 75,700 as of Thursday morning. That number is ridiculously low. While a majority of those cases are in China, with just 15 confirmed in the U.S., the CDC has been working with healthcare sector to prepare for the virus to take foothold in the U.S. Dr. Nancy Messonnier, director of the CDC's National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, told reporters February 12th, at some point, we're likely to see community spread in the U.S. or in other countries, she warned. U.S. hospitals from San Diego to New York are taking heed. And see, here's the thing. You know, if a couple people come down with coronavirus, not such a big deal, because they can get them into intensive care. They have the, you know, all the equipment and everything to deal with that. But what happens if a whole community comes down with it? See, the hospitals would quickly be overrun. We do not have the capacity to deal with something of this nature, really. And I know you think, oh, no, this is the United States. Oh, we have the capacity. No, you don't. If you're, well, let's just say a big city. Let's say, I don't know. Well, let's say New York, because when I think of a big city, that's the city I think of, New York. Let's say it happens in New York and it spreads exponentially. How long do you think it'll be before there'll be lineups outside the hospital and people will be dying in the parking lots trying to get in? Just like we saw in China. So our systems can be overwhelmed very quickly. That's why it's important for you to have whatever, Advil, you know, Tylenol, whatever it takes, like whatever you think you might need, get it now. And I'm not saying that out of panic. I'm just saying it's better to be prepared and not need it. And especially if you get in extra food. If you don't need it, well, you can eat it, right? It's not like it's going to go to waste. All right. So I'm going to go on from here because we are running out of time. And I do want to get through this. I think we're almost through. South Korea has reported 51 new cases of coronavirus in 24 hours. 51 new cases in 24 hours. Yesterday, the total was 31. Today, it's 82. Wow. And you just think of that. I mean, you think, okay, yesterday there was 31 people. Well, that's manageable. Oh, wait, today it's 82. Okay, well then what'll it be tomorrow? 150? You know, it increases exponentially. It starts off with a few, and people think, oh, it's no big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal. All right, and South Korea considers raising virus alert level from orange to red. A meeting will take place on Friday morning. Also, according to information received on Thursday by Iran International, and the number of people who have died from the coronavirus in the Kamkar Arabia hospital in Qom in Iran has risen to 8. So 8 people have actually died from it. No word on how many people have it, but 8 people have died in Iran. In Iran's hospital in Qom. So, yeah, people saying, oh, no, it's just the Chinese that are getting it. We don't have to worry. Okay. All right, right. If that's what makes you sleep at night, then hey. All right, now, let's look at this. Because we can. And we will. Mark Lipstick. That's a weird last name, man. I don't think I'd want to have the last name Lipstick or Lipstitch. Anyway, is not the only one saying a huge percent of the world could become infected. Multiple experts are saying it. One expert says 80% of the world could become infected. Harvard epidemiologist Mark Lipsitch told the Wall Street Journal that it's likely we'll see a global pandemic of coronavirus with 40 to 70% of the world's population likely to be infected this year. That is a Harvard epidemiologist that said that. Not saying that he knows everything and that he can tell the future, but, you know, he's got a whole lot more training than we do. With proportion of what proportion of those will be symptomatic, I can't give a good number, added Lipsich, who is the director for the Center of Communicable Diseases Dynamics at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. Two other experts have recently given similar estimates. Ira Longini, a biostatistician and advisor to the World Health Organization, has predicted that 2/3 of the globe's population may eventually contract COVID-19. Professor Gabriel Leung, the chair of public health medicine at Hong Kong University, said it could says if the transmission estimate of 2.5 additional people for each infected rate is accurate, that would result in an attack rate that would affect 60 to 80% of the world's population. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has already said that it is preparing for the coronavirus to have a greater impact in the U.S. than the 15 confirmed cases currently. In an interview with CNN on February 13th, Robert Redfield, director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, said right now we're in an aggressive containment mode. He added that this virus is probably with us beyond this season, beyond this year, and I think eventually this virus will find a foothold and we will get community-based transmission. Dr. Nancy Messonnier, the director of the CDC's National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, recently confirmed that the CDC is taking steps to prepare for the coronavirus to take a foothold in the United States. Now, if they're preparing, shouldn't you? Now, I only say this, I'm not trying to spread fear. This isn't fear porn at all. I'm giving you the information. What you choose to do with that information is up to you. But I do feel that I need to get this out. So if preparing means getting in a little bit of extra food, then do it. Picking up a mask, some gloves. Now, no, the mask is not really that effective. Now, I don't know if you stack 2 masks together, if it's any more effective. I would assume it would be somewhat, but still not sufficient. So I don't know, guys, but I mean, I'm in the same place you are. I'm in the same boat you are, because I think, well, you know, I could get extra food in here, but I don't have a lot of extra room. I've got my masks, but I don't have gloves. I've got my hand sanitizer and things like that, but I'm probably going to need more because it's already getting hard to find. So I don't know, but I find it interesting in Trenton before, because my friend was going to Hawaii and was looking everywhere for a mask to wear on the plane and couldn't find one. Finally did get one from a friend of hers that works for the police, and she was able to get a mask, but there just wasn't any masks anywhere. And now that the coronavirus people are here in Trenton, I walk into my grocery store and there are masks upon masks upon masks upon masks. See, somebody knows. Somebody knows something, or they wouldn't be ordering masks because, you know, of course, Canada's telling everybody, oh, it's no big deal. So anyway, all right. Well, I do feel like I need to continue giving updates on this. Information is getting much harder to find. That is definitely true because I think they've shut down the internet for a lot of people to prevent any of this information getting out. They don't want people uploading videos and so forth because there are people now that are saying, I don't care if they come, I don't care if they kill me, you know, and trying to get videos out, and they had to put a stop to that because the world pays attention to stuff like that. And well, they should. So I don't know how hard it is going to become to get the right information, the true information, but I will continue to try. So let's just look at this one last thing and then we will call it a night because it is a night. All right, China reports a spike in cases outside Wuhan and 118 new deaths. Iran confirms. See, it's almost like as soon as this was put out today, it's already old. It's already old because it says Iran confirms 5 cases. Well, Iran confirmed 8 people are dead today, later in the day. So it's like as soon as you get the information out, it's already old. Daegu can declare special management zone. South Korea soldier tests positive. Hubei reports 411 new cases, 115 deaths. Right, that's why Hubei needs the 40 incinerators. Right. So anyway, China reports an additional 3 deaths outside Wuhan and 889 other cases. U.S. CDC slaps Japan with L1 travel advisory. Seoul mayor orders cult church associated with South Korea outbreak closed. Japanese officials defend their handling of Diamond Princess quarantine. Beijing tightens lockdown after dozens more cases reported. As outbreak ex-China accelerates, WHO warns case numbers won't stay low for long. Hong Kongers evacuated from Diamond Princess after Japanese government confirms 2 deaths. Researchers confirm COVID-19 more contagious than SARS and MERS. Tim Cook welcomes back employees, customers as Apple reopens some China stores, but I did hear they are moving the production of their iPads out of China because of this. So I'm not going to read all the nitty-gritty details down here. We've hit the highlights, and I think that will suffice for tonight. Now, it's a little late to do another video, and I'm my pain medicine is starting to wear off, and I'm getting to be in pain. So I don't think I'm going to do another video tonight. Yeah, I'll be back. I will be back, and I will bring the video that tomorrow that I was going to do tonight and another. So I will try to do 2 tomorrow. Now, worst case scenario, I only do 1, but you know, what can you do? All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful night. I hope I haven't come off as too strange and loopy tonight. I hope not. I wanted to do my show regardless. So, well, there you have it. I guess it is what it is. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. Oh, and I do have some people to thank, but I'm going to do that tomorrow because I didn't have a chance to get it transferred here. But I did receive some mail and some coffee donations. And I think I even got a couple new Patreon supporters. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I will see you tomorrow. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth, and don't move heavy furniture if you have a bad back. That's for free. I'm just throwing it out there.